I'll start with the news center. Minority MPs stage sit-down protest at EOCO. There's a photo of MPs on the floor, or is it on the ground?
On the road.
On the road. Yes, I can see Mama Pat in a pink chair on the front page of the news center. This is related to the Wontumi issue.
But really, is this necessary?
It's solidarity.
Solidarity, you could go there.
For their party chairman in the Ashanti region.
No, but also, I mean, see, what you want is Wontumi to be granted bail.
Okay.
If you think that the 50 million is too much, you go to court and vary it.
Okay.
Simple.
Or you can put your houses together and
if you can't find anybody to do that,
pull the resources and
it's that simple.
Yeah, because if I count the number of people seated, if each of them brings something small, maybe we'll get bail.
I mean, just go to court and tell the court, look, this is unfair, and let the judge sit on the case and determine. If the judge agrees and says, okay, how about you reduce it to 20 million, then that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, going there with going to sit there, staging a walkout from Parliament, please. Yes, I know you want to send a signal, but please, you could have just staged a walkout and then go to court. So advise Wontumi's lawyers, and I know Andy Apiakubi knows what to do, as well as Godfred Dami. They should go ahead and vary it in court.
Still on the front page of the news center, good news, new Jubilee OCTP drillings to add over 14 million barrels. Yes, so we'll be getting more oil, and Ghana will be getting a bit more money from oil as well. The season 7 of the MTN's Heroes of Change is on the front page. Who wins tonight? The photos of the various nominees are on the front page. You should check that out. And Dr. Nick Danso Ejay sweeps 3 awards at CEO Summit. And there's a very important story on page 9 of the news center. Timekeeping series dialogue. Women share secrets to work-life harmony. I want all women to read this today. And I want the men to also read to understand how the women balance the act and how we can support them. And there's Ifya Tenge, there's Emilia Ato, there's Georgina Fiagbenu of MTN, and Lovia Bando, all sharing their secrets to work-life harmony.
The Ghanaian Times says tighten food labeling laws to protect public health. Professor Amuna. Ghanaians demand stronger action against corruption. CDD. Government committed to removing barriers to girls' education. That's according to the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. Back page, BR Lands Commission Board inaugurated. Azarpain supports RMU's facelift projects.
Now, the Ghanaian publisher, Ibrahim Mahama slaps Bright Simmons with 10 million Ghana cedi suits. Minority charges on Ablakwa over embassy closure. That story has a photo of Samuel Abu Jinapo. Apenyomakin slams Wontumi's bail conditions, and the same photo of the minority MPs on the road is repeated here.
Okay, so the new publisher says EOCO bosses snub minority as they protest 50 million Wontumi bail term after forcing his returning officer for AFDB presidential elections won by Dr. Sidi Ta. Abu Jinapo says the U.S. embassy closure an embarrassment to Ghana, and NEIP Ejumara program partners financial institutions.
Now, the Ghanaian Point, despite Auto Museum to be commissioned on June 1, Otumfuo was able to the second to grace the occasion. Yesterday, I saw a post by someone on Facebook, I've forgotten who, suggesting that with the work Despite has done on his own Auto Museum, we should consider giving him some of the old state vehicles for him to restore and put there, because he's shown capacity in doing that and the state hasn't. You remember the story of Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah's vehicles? I saw a Frimamus truck, a photo of it. All those things must be restored and displayed to tell the story of some of these legends and some of these vehicles and what role they played in our national development or formation of the state. Now, there is the Ibrahim Mahama story also on the front page. He sued Bryce Simmons for 10 million Ghana cedis over defamatory publications. Bryce Simmons has released a statement to explain that he will go to court because those statements he made were factual. That's what he said. ICOMS is the backbone of Ghana's modern trade system. This is according to the Traders Group. And national security intercepts 2,129 smuggled cooking oil in a major tax evasion bust.
Wow.
2,129 smuggled Kofor gallons, the 25-liter gallons. Charlie, how did people manage to smuggle this?
Anyway, it's good that they've been able to get it. They must do more because people still smuggle.
Yeah.
Kwete Nate did an investigative piece, and at the borders, they do it all the time.
I once chanced upon the police on the whole road who had stopped the vehicle, and the man had cocoa beans in these cocoa gallons. He was, I don't know where he was taking them to, but he had kept cocoa beans in these cocoa gallons, and they stopped him and they interrogated him, and he started begging. Apparently he put them in and he was using that as a means of smuggling them, and they were in a trotro.
Look, one of my friends was who works with custom. There was a time he said he was at one of the border posts and saw people smuggling. Now, he was the only one there. Some of the people were armed. So he couldn't actually confront them. Sometimes that's also a problem. But I have seen, customs officers intercepting lots of goods. Recently, one guy was importing papers from Togo into the country. He had underdeclared, and they grabbed him and asked him to pay the right taxes. So, they're doing a good job. But sometimes also it's the tip-offs they get that would actually help them, because if you don't get information, how would you know, for instance, that somebody's put cocoa beans in Kufo gallon?
Now let me take you to MyJoyOnline. Very interesting story. I saw John Ewer's interview with George last night on PM Express, and he says past CD depreciation caused by people manipulating it for profit. This is John Ewer, the president of the Ghana Association of Bankers. Now, Wontumi under probe for alleged fraud, money laundering, and international organized crime. This is the Deputy AG, Justice Sremsai speaking. Property worth 50 million Ghana cedis as bail condition unreasonable. This is a minority on Wontumi, and Parliament can't revise Wontumi's 50 million Ghana cedi bail. Seek redress in court. Deputy Speaker to the minority. And a former state prosecutor says Wontumi's lawyers should have gone to court for bail variation. And there is more on MyJoyOnline. Treat others as you would wish to be treated. This is Afenyo Markin warning the NDC. Mahama Yariga says Supreme Court judges removal legislation will define misbehavior and incompetence. So those are stories on MyJoyOnline. Let me take you to citynewsroom.com. City Newsroom: Hajj fares could fall if city strength is sustained. This is President Mahama. He's suggesting that next year programs could pay around 50,000 cedis for Hajj. Call of June 9 strike. Rashid Pelpo to the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. He says they should call it off and have a conversation on their issues. Now, Grida is raising concerns over low foreign developer participation, and government begins Kutka International Airport Terminal 2 expansion to ease Terminal 3 pressure. Parliament can't review Wontumi's bill terms. Go to court. This is Ahiafo to the minority. Now, let me take you to Graphic Online. Friday, June 6th, declared public holiday for Eid al-Adha. That is next week, right?
Yes.
So next week is a holiday.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the two of us won't have a holiday, but next week is a holiday.
It's a holiday, yes. But also, I am having some discussions with Sami Odami. So if those discussions are fruitful, but this is it also. The president promised 2, right? 2 holidays. So it means it should be Friday and Monday.
Oh, but this holiday, the other falls on a Friday, so we have the weekend to make.
Oh no, but he promised 2.
So we should stretch it to Monday, so we have a long weekend.
No, I don't like holidays.
Rana Salah, Keiko.
I think we have too many holidays in this country, but
we'll be chilling on Saturday.
Yes.
Let me give you more stories. Ghana UAE signed $1 billion deal to build tech hub. Wontumi still in EOCO custody. Minority MPs disperse after their sit-down a demonstration on the road, and Wontumi is under investigation for multiple offences. This is according to Justice Sremsai, and minority MPs boycott Parliament in solidarity with Wontumi. Those are some of the headlines on Graphic Online as well.
Great. Maybe we can get into the details, maybe starting with the news center.
Yes, I'll go to page 3. It's a story most of us have some knowledge about, but I'll give you some more details. A dramatic political standoff unfolded in Accra as members of the minority caucus in Parliament staged a walkout in protest of what they described as excessive and punitive bail conditions imposed on the new Patriotic Party Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Enchibu Esiako, also known as Chairman Wontumi. Now, the protest reached fever pitch when a police riot control vehicle attempted to enter the EOCO compound. The already agitated crowd responded by using a pickup truck to block the vehicle's path, with others dragging car tires onto the road to fortify the blockade. Minority Leader in Parliament, Alexander Peña-Makin, was among the first to speak out, describing the 50 million Ghana cedi bill condition as outrageous and calculated to keep Wontumi behind bars. The Member of Parliament from Nshia South, Nane J. Bafwewa, strongly defended the walkout and protest, describing it as a constitutional right and a necessary civic action against creeping authoritarianism. Now, another strong voice was the Asante Achim Central MP, Kwame Anyumedu-Entry, who lambasted EOCO for what he called a deliberate attempt to detain Wontumi indefinitely. Now, Chairman Wontumi was arrested by EOCO on Tuesday, May 27, shortly after appearing before the CID for questioning. He was subsequently transferred to EOCO's head office in Accra, where he has remained since. Now, on why he has been arrested, the Deputy AG has given us some information as to why he has been arrested. Let me give you those details. It's on MyJoyOnline. It's on almost all the portals. Now, the detail is that, according to the Deputy AG, the ongoing criminal investigation is running concurrently with asset recovery efforts to prevent the suspected proceeds of crime from being dissipated. He says Wontumi is under investigations for multiple criminal offenses, including fraud, money laundering, and causing financial loss to the state. Winston.
Well, I mean, like I indicated earlier, I think that the Wontumi's lawyers would know what to do. If they think that a 50 million bail is unrealistic, they should go to court and challenge that, and get it varied so that Wontumi could be granted bail. I do not think it was necessary for the minority to go. They can go there and demand to see him or request to see him. But going to sit on the road, sit on the streets, I think it was unnecessary. To be very honest with you.
Let me give you some good news. New Jubilee OCTP drillings to add 14 million barrels to our production. Ghana's upstream petroleum sector is receiving a major boost with the resumption of new drilling operations by two of the country's leading offshore producers, Talo Ghana and ENI Ghana, in the Jubilee and offshore Cape 3 Points fields, respectively. The move, announced by the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, marks a renewed phase of investment, confidence, and technical activity in Ghana's oil and gas industry. You know, the last time you were talking about the fact that oil prices are dropping, so our oil revenues will drop. But if you are getting more volumes,
then we are good.
Then we'll get more money. And for me, this makes me happy because you'll be getting more oil revenue, and you must use that oil revenue judiciously. You have some stories to share with us.
Yes, let's get into the Ghanaian Times for this morning, and the story that tighten food labeling law. So a professor of public health and nutrition at the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Paul Amuna, has expressed concern over the poor labeling on most food consumables on the market, stressing that this posed a serious health threat to the country. He has therefore called for tighter regulations and policies on improved food labeling to protect public health across the country. He explained that labeling was not a cosmetic feature, but crucial for consumer education and informed decision making. However, most of the food on the market, especially locally produced ones, had no labels at all, and even those that had were not properly labeled. Okay, so
let me bring you some more stories from Parliament. Minority charges on a block over embassy closure. Remember the U.S. embassy issue? The ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Samuel Abu-Jinapo, on behalf of the minority in Parliament, has strongly criticized the recent closure and reopening of Ghana's embassy in Washington, D.C., describing it as a needless embarrassment that has undermined Ghana's international standing. Now, on the same page of the Ghanaian publisher, Ibrahim Mahama slaps Bright Simmons with 10 million Ghana cedi suit. The story says businessman and chief executive officer of engineers and planners, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, has instituted legal proceedings against the vice president of Imani Africa, Mr. Bright Simmons, for alleged defamation. And Bright Simmons has also released a statement on X, also known as Twitter. And he says that he used publicly available information to do his analysis. And after consulting with his lawyers, he stands by his analysis, and that they are factual and that they will go to court. So that is it on Bright Simmons and Ibrahim Mahama. Let me give you some other good news.
Please go
Winston.
ahead.
Today is a Friday of regular news and more good news. Minister of Education signs $80 million partnership agreement to strengthen education. That's almost $1 billion Ghana cedis, right? $80 million.
Dollars. Yeah, almost $1 billion Ghana
Yes.
cedis.
Now, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, Minister of Education, has signed an $80 million partnership agreement with System Change Architecture for Learning Excellence Consortium to strengthen education. Now, the $80 million follows additional grants worth $38.8 million, meaning a total of $118 million supplementary financing will now be invested in the Ministry of Education's flagship Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcomes project. And we understand this is a grant, it's not a loan. So this is good inflows to help us invest in basic education and improve the quality and the outcomes we seek to have in basic education.